President Trump is so well respected. How well respected is he? He's so well respected that he doesn't even have to go to China. China will come to him. President Xi Jinping of China arrived in South Korea to meet with President Donald Trump for what President Donald Trump called the G2 summit. You know, it's like, you don't need 7 people. All you need is, you get the G2 summit right there. Donald Trump said the G2 will be convening shortly, and convene it did. He and Xi Jinping, they met at the White House, and they had they met in the at the South Korean palace, and they had a fantastic meeting. Apparently, I don't know what they talked about, but Donald Trump, he said it was a fantastic meeting.
Well, thank you very much. It's a great honor to be with a friend of mine, really for a long time now, if you think about it. The very, very distinguished and respected president of China. And we will be having some discussions. I think we've already agreed to a lot of things, and we'll agree to some more right now. But President Xi is a great leader of a great country, and I think we're going to have a fantastic relationship for a long period of time. And it's an honor to have you with us. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and that capped off his big trip to Asia. He and Xi were, partying down. They were hanging out. They were doing dude stuff. They were talking about, I'm sure, TikTok. I'm sure they were talking about trade. I'm sure they were talking about fentanyl and rare earth metals and the military and tariffs. I mean, pretty much when you're the 2 largest economic and military superpowers in the entire world, you have a lot in common, and you also have a lot that you probably need to hash out. And that's exactly what President Donald Trump did yesterday in his meeting with Xi Jinping, which, let's be honest, I mean, we've come a long way from Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. And I think that most Americans, when they see what President Donald Trump has done in China, when they see how he's been able to stand up to Xi Jinping and impose tariffs and rebuild our military and create these strategic alliances all over, surrounding China, in Asia and also in the Middle East, it really is something that is great to behold, and hopefully the person who comes after him will uphold that for years to come. President Donald Trump then, after meeting with Xi Jinping, did something he loves to do, and that is go meet with the troops. He went to go talk to more sailors aboard more aircraft carriers and tell them how much he loves them.
The U.S. Navy always stands for America. As your commander-in-chief, I will always stand for you. I promise you that. You know that. That's why you voted for me in numbers that nobody's ever seen before. And I want you to know that despite the current Democrat-induced shutdown, we will get our service members every last penny. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Do not worry about it. It's all coming. It's coming. And even more because I'm supporting the across-the-board pay raises for every sailor and service member of the United States Armed Forces. But we have to take care of this little gnat that's on our shoulder called the Democrats. They want to give all of our money to illegal aliens that pour into the country. And, I have a bigger heart than they do. But the problem is when you do that, they come in by the millions. Everybody wants that, so you can't do it.
Yeah, you can't do that. You just can't do that. You can't just let everybody into the country. And that's something that's been a sticking point for a long time. In fact, J.D. Vance was at the University of Mississippi, Ole Miss, for a TPUSA event with Erica Kirk. And he was asked that question about immigration. And he's like, look, immigration has to fluctuate. And our immigration standards that we held 100 years ago when America was a fledgling nation, we can no longer sustain that. And we have to be able to control it and change it when necessary.
I can believe that the United States should lower its levels of immigration in the future while also respecting that there are people who have come here through lawful immigration pathways that have contributed to the country. But just because one person or 10 people or 100 people came in legally and contributed to the United States of America, does that mean that we're thereby committed to let in 1 million or 10 million or 100 million people a year in the future? No, that's not right. We cannot have, I'll go and finish. We cannot have an immigration policy where what was good for the country 50 or 60 years ago binds the country inevitably for the future. There's too many people who want to come to the United States of America, and my job as vice president is not to look out for the interests of the whole world. It's to look out for the people of the United States. Now,
See, JD Vance gets it. I don't know why nobody else gets it. It's very simple. It's very simple. Back in the 1900s, when the United States had plenty of room and plenty of jobs and plenty of space for growth, it was great. But now we have people coming in here not to help build America or make America great again, but to take advantage of a system that Joe Biden and the Democrats set up in an effort to build their political base. And that is something that Donald Trump and the Republicans and the rest of Americans just can't handle. This country can't sustain it. So shutting down immigration when it gets out of control is 100% American, and it's exactly what he, as the vice president of the United States of America, has been tasked to do. Donald Trump was also asked, by the way, about the shutdown and the health care mandate that the Democrats are putting in their quote unquote negotiation. They want health care for illegal aliens, and they're not going to stop until they get it. And Donald Trump said, we can talk about all that, but not until the government opens up.
What is your position on the extension of health care subsidies, which is what Democrats are asking for?
All I want to do is very simple. I want to get the country open, and then we're going to discuss that. And we'd like to, Obamacare is a horrible mess, and it has been from the beginning. We want to make it better, stronger, even if it costs more money, we want to make it better. The Democrats want to make it worse. The Democrats want to approve health care for illegals coming into our country, many of them coming in from prisons and mental institutions and drug dealers. They want to give them health care. We don't want that for our people because that's going to destroy the health care that we already have. We'd like to make Obamacare better for people, less expensive and better health care.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Less expensive, better health care. And those are all things that you can do. But first thing you have to do is you have to open up the government. And John Thune, who's not technically part of the administration, but who has been working very hard to try to get the government back open, he lit a flamethrower and pointed it right at the Democrats yesterday on the Senate floor.
Let me just point out, if I might, that we are 29 days into a Democrat shutdown. And the senator from New Mexico was absolutely right. SNAP recipients shouldn't go without food. People should be getting paid in this country. And we've tried to do that 13 times. And you voted no 13 times. This isn't a political game. These are real people's lives that we're talking about. And you all have just figured out, 29 days in, that, there might be some consequences. There are people who run out of money. Yeah, we're 29 days in. And they've done their best to make sure that a lot of these programs are funded. But at some point, the government runs out of money. 13 times, people over here voted to fund SNAP. 13 times they voted to fund WIC. My aching back. Finally realized this thing has consequences.
That is John Thune getting emotional and yelling at the other side of the aisle, saying, don't come at us with your SNAP requirements. Don't come at us with your WIC payments. Don't come at us and say we're holding it up. 13 times this side of the aisle has voted to fund SNAP. 13 times this side of the aisle has voted to fund WIC. And 13 times you people over there have voted against it. Oh, my aching back. I know that's like a North Dakota thing. I don't know what that is. That's like a North Dakota, must be like a saying back home. But he's 100% right. He's 100% accurate. The government shut down. The Democrats have shut down this government, and they have kept it shut down for their own political gain. They've done it for their own political gamesmanship. They don't care about you. They don't care about SNAP. They don't care about WIC. They don't care about the military. If they did, they would stop voting no when it came time to reopen the government 13 times. 13 is an unlucky number. It better be unlucky for the Democrats. Unfortunately, there's many of them who still maintain that they will continue to vote no because illegal aliens are not getting health care subsidized by hardworking Americans. Back to J.D. Vance for a second. J.D. Vance at Ole Miss was there for the TPUSA tour with Erica Kirk. This was the tour. It was I forget what the original name was called. It was called something. But Charlie Kirk was assassinated at the very first stop at Utah Valley State. And now, or Utah Valley University, rather. And now the tour is picked up with a star-studded array of TPUSA contributors, including J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the United States. And he picked up right where Charlie Kirk left off. He took questions. He debated. He would answer anything. It didn't matter. the aforementioned question about immigration. He talked about the separation of church and state.
I want to just make sure that everybody's kind of on the same page here. So if you go back to the First Amendment, it doesn't say separation of church and state. It says Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. But if you go back to the founding time, there were actually a number of states that had formally recognized churches. So there was the Anglican Church of Virginia. That was the official state church of Virginia. Maryland at the time was the only majority Catholic colony, or at least had a significant Catholic representation of the original 13 colonies. There's a lot there. And yes, I do think that what happened is the Supreme Court interpreted Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion to effectively throw the church out of every public space at the federal, state, and local level. I think it was a terrible mistake, and we're still paying for the consequences of it today. But if, and I think this is your point, if you were to undo that, if you were to get back to a system actually meant by the founders where Congress is not setting up an established religion, but people in their local communities can kind of do whatever it is that they want to do, I think that would be a better system than what we have today. But I think the most important principle that we have got to remember is you do not have to completely kick God out of the public square, which is what we've done in modern America. It's not what the founders wanted. It's not good for the United States of America. And anybody who tells you it's required by the Constitution is lying to you. Thank you.
I mean, again, J.D. Vance gets it. Why doesn't anybody else get it? J.D. Vance, by the way, was asked about a couple of things. He was asked about Democrats and whether or not the Republicans should watch how they act and behave and watch what they do when they're in power for fear of the Democrats doing it if they should ever get back into power. And he had a fantastic answer about that as well.
It's going to sound like I'm being sarcastic, and it really is not meant in any offense. But when you talk about what could another administration do, to take a wild, hypothetical example totally off the top of my head, what if Joe Biden sent the Federal Bureau of Investigation to start arresting his political opponents? Okay? So here's something that I want conservatives, I want every conservative to remember. It's an important part of my entire political philosophy is we cannot be afraid to do something because the left might do it in the future. The left is already going to do it regardless of whether we do it. That is the takeaway of the last 40 years.
That's it. We cannot be afraid to do something because we think that the left may do it should they ever return to power. We need to be able to do what we need to do to protect America today. And whether that means curbing immigration or taking people out of this country and sending them back from where they came, or sending the National Guard into various different cities and states to keep the peace, which is what that question was based on, whether it's, fixing the economy or imposing tariffs, any and all of those things, that's what's required right now to make America great again. And we cannot control, nor can we worry about, or should we worry about, what the left may do should they ever figure out how to win another election, which at the moment isn't very likely. Speaking of elections, Vice President J.D. Vance was asked about becoming President J.D. Vance, and an off-the-cuff comment that Donald Trump made a few months ago saying, J.D., he's next in line, and Marco's doing great too. Maybe J.D. and Marco should run on the ticket together. He was asked about that comment on a podcast. Here's what he said about the Rubio-Vance.
How do you feel about that? And have you talked to the Secretary Rubio about it?
I've joked with the secretary about it. So the president first raised this with me probably 6 months or so ago,
right?
During just one of our private lunches that we try to get lunch every couple of weeks just to catch up on what's going on and talk about things. He mentioned it probably 6 months or so ago, and I mentioned to the secretary in jest, but it feels so premature because we're still so early. And what I always say to people is, if we take care of business, the politics will take care of itself. And we're 9 months into this thing. We've done a lot of good. There's a lot more work to do because, look, the thing that I most worry about is that Biden left us a terrible affordability crisis. We've got to make life more affordable for American citizens. Again, we've chipped away at that problem, but there's a lot more work to do there. So my attitude is, the American people elected me to be vice president. I'm going to work as hard as I can to make the president successful over the next 3 years and 3 months. And if we get to a point where something else is in the offer, let's handle it then. But let's at least get through the next couple of years.
Yeah, let's at least get through the next couple of years. Let President Donald Trump cook. Let Donald Trump do what he does best, which is win at pretty much everything. And then we'll talk about potential President J.D. Vance. Incidentally, when it comes to speaking about President Donald Trump and his ability to win, a lot of it is because of characteristics and lifestyle choices that he has made throughout his career that has made him successful at pretty much everything he does, whether it's real estate or business or entertainment or politics or raising a family. And in my book, Go Trump Yourself, 10 Ways to Live Like Trump in Any Economy, you can read about and learn about and figure out how to emulate President Donald Trump so that you too can live a dream life in the new golden age. Go Trump Yourself, 10 Ways to Live Like Trump in Any Economy. It's available right now for instant download. You get the ebook and the audiobook as read by the author. Go to gotrumpyourself.com. Gotrumpyourself.com or click the link in the show notes and description of this podcast. Gotrumpyourself.com. Get this book today. Start living like Trump tomorrow.